Carolyn Doobie here. What's the play for today? Well, today I'm exploring the big question, is it finished? And what's my take on that? So when somebody asks me, how do you know when it's finished? You know, it's a very personal thing because art is so personal. What you create is so personal. So when you look at it, if it feels finished, then by golly, it's finished. And when you look at it and it doesn't feel finished, it's not finished. It's that simple. But there's also an extra wrinkle for me in that when there are times when I look at something and it feels finished to me and I think I'm all done with it, and then I'll look at it again later, sometimes the next day, sometimes the next month, or even the next year, and I look at it and I go, oh, I want to add something more to it. Suddenly, it's no longer finished. So finished for me is a status that can be given and changed at any time. As long as the art and the journal and the play is in my possession, there's a chance I'm going to add something more to it. And that's what I did on the art journal cover that you're going to see in this video. I thought it was finished when I'd made it, and then suddenly when I looked at it today, I'm like, hey, I think I want to put some more stuff on here, and now it feels finished to me by the end of this video. But guess what? I could change it anytime. If I decide I want to put some more stuff on it, I absolutely can. Now, I might add more to it at some point, or I might not. I really don't know. It just depends on how I see it when I'm looking at it in the future. So here are one of my permission to play journals. This is actually the one that I build in the workshop, and it's a free workshop, so you can check it all out there. And so I've got pages in here. It's all made out of cardboard, and this is the cover that I built a while ago for it. Now, some reason I was looking at it and I had the inclination to do something more to it. So guess what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm taking a fountain pen here and I'm just tracing around these rubber stamped faces. And the stamp that was used for this was, I believe, from Invoke Arts. Now, my original impulse was to just trace around some of these faces, but I was having such fun doing it, I ended up doing it around every single one of them. Now, I'm loving the loose, sketchy lines going around this, but for the next thing that I want to put on top, I want to make sure that I've given it some time to dry, because that fountain pen does take it a moment or two to become completely dry. Now, the next thing I want to do is get more color on here. I had painted on some color back when this was originally built, but I want more color. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing in spray inks. These are Marabou art sprays, and the reason why I'm using those to go over this is because they'll be translucent, which means I'll be able to see my sketchy lines, I'll be able to see the paint that's underneath it, and of course the stamped image. So why did I pick the Marabou art sprays to do this and not one of the other spray inks that I have? Well, the most important reason for me is that it will dry, which means that once this spray ink dries, it's not going to reactivate if I do something else on top of it. Because as you can see, I tend to come back to things whenever I have the impulse and add more layers. So with this, it's not going to bleed, it's not going to reactivate, so once it's dry, it's dry. But there was one huge challenge for me in doing this, and it's a thing that, well, frankly, is a challenge for me in almost everything that I do, and that is to keep from spilling things. That's why you'll notice I'm actually holding the open spray bottle in my hand. I'm just taking the nozzle off of it and dipping my paintbrush in it, but I'm keeping it in my hand because if I leave it on the counter, I'm probably going to knock it over, and as fluid as spray inks are, that means I'm going to spill all that wonderful color, and I don't want to do that. So that's why you'll see me actually holding the bottle in my hand, because frankly, I don't trust myself any other way with this. Now there's one other thing that I have to watch out for, I found out, yep, the hard way, is that apparently I get distracted when I'm playing. As I'm moving the color around, if I'm seeing where it goes, I don't pay attention to mundane things like making sure I've got the nozzle on all the way. So in case you weren't sure, if you don't screw a cap on or the nozzle all the way onto the container, when you say pick it up a little bit later, it's, well, very likely to spill if the cap's not on it. And interestingly enough, that only seems to happen to me on the really strong colors, like this magenta color. Yep, that was the one where I didn't get the lid on all the way. Now you're probably thinking, I'm going to cover this whole thing in color and I'm not going to leave any white areas, but au contraire, I am actually going to leave some white space. Well, sort of. I'm going to fill it up in a minute here, but not with color. Now this art journal is made out of cardboard and it's got a very, very low stress kind of binding, meaning no fancy measuring, no complex stitches to learn, and you can see how this entire thing was built from beginning to end in that free workshop that I mentioned earlier called Permission to Play. And it's also a great introduction to some mixed media techniques. So what am I going to fill in those white spaces with? Some scribble journaling. I'm actually not going to fill every single one of them in, just some of them. And what am I writing here? I'm writing down the thoughts that are on my mind, the feelings that I'm having. Nothing important, nothing life-changing, revolutionary here, just my feelings and thoughts. And as I'm scribble journaling, I am actually thinking of words. So I am technically writing words. Now you probably can't read them. I can't read them. And it doesn't matter to me if they ever get read. What's important to me is I just process that stuff out, get it captured in the art journal. And as a bonus, I don't have to worry about spelling or punctuation or any of that kind of stuff because it's scribble journaling after all. So is the cover of this journal now complete and finished and all done? Yeah, I don't know. It is for today, but I make no promises that I won't come back at some later date and add more to it. And if you'd like to see whatever happens to this next, be sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know as soon as I have a new video out. And of course, if you've been enjoying this video, I'd so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And thank you for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.